Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News. This is Scott from the Nibiru channel, September 5th, 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my late night live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, there is just entirely too much going on at the moment around the globe, specifically here in the United States, with the after effects of Hurricane Harvey on the communities surrounding Houston, Texas, and now Louisiana and some other states north. We now have Hurricane Irma. I know a lot of you have already been listening to all of the updates, and now we have some very, very severe space weather that is already impacting and affecting our planet. Let's just, get right into all of this information, because I'll tell you what, there is a lot of it. Now, currently, right now, we're going to just take a look at the path of Hurricane Irma. Now, it's going to be moving through the northern part of the Caribbean. It's going to definitely affect Puerto Rico. I know that there is a rush on food, water, and supplies in all of these regions. This will also be affecting the Dominican Republic as well as the country of Cuba. This will also be affecting all of the Bahamas. But the big problem is, ladies and gentlemen, the way the forecast models are showing this storm. Once it gets to about right here where you see this letter M, it's almost going to make a 90-degree angle straight forward up through the entire state of Florida, also impacting Georgia and South Carolina. And the models have the storm being sheared apart later on in the week. But the devastation to all of these communities in the Caribbean, Cuba, Dominican Republic, and especially the state of Florida. Folks, I've been in a Category 5 hurricane. In Hurricane Andrew, it was one of the most, I'd have to say, unforgettable events that I've ever gone through as a young man. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget the devastation of that hurricane. And now, all of these years later, there is much, much more development along all of the coastal communities in South Florida. A lot more development has happened since Hurricane Andrew. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if any of you have heard about the current conditions in Dade County, the city of Miami and Miami Beach. They have actually undergone and are suffering from the oceans rising, the levels. They've been monitoring it for years. It's now happening. I watched a detailed report, which I will share with all of you tomorrow, what is actually happening in South Florida. Even when it doesn't rain, streets are becoming flooded in certain areas. Why? Because the ocean levels are rising. The water is coming directly back through the outlet piping that they use to force water off the streets whenever it rains. The water level now exceeds the height of the pipe, which means water is flowing back through that pipe and directly into the city streets of South Florida, specifically the Miami Beach area. And this is very critical, and they've been working now for quite some time to correct this problem, but it's going to take hundreds of millions of dollars, and they are way behind schedule. But anyways, folks, getting back to Hurricane Irma, we know it's going to be a very devastating storm. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Now, I have this weather model up, and this is the current GFS model. going to go ahead and blow this up real quick. You can see this is actually dated for yesterday, and we could already see wind speeds here, 123 miles an hour. I'm sure they're greater, 136 miles per hour, but it's going to be a devastating storm. Now, we're going to go ahead and play the track of the storm, and you're going to see how it tracks along and just skirts Puerto Rico. Now, remember, folks, these are models. There could be some fluctuation as this storm passes by. Puerto Rico can actually take a direct hit, and the same would apply for the Dominican Republic. Also, the southern Bahamas are definitely going to be right in the eye of the storm at some point. Now, as you can see, Irma is going to be skirting the shores of Cuba, and then here's where things get really dicey. Now I'm going to stop the model for a second so we can zoom in here. And we're already seeing wind speeds at this point, and this is on Saturday the 9th. So you're seeing wind speeds, well, let's see here, very, very close to the wall eye, in excess of 186 miles per hour. There's 190 miles per hour. As you move closer towards the Upper Keys and Homestead, which is way down here in southern Dade County, the wind speeds are already at 86 miles per hour, impacting the coast up around here in Miami Beach. Oh, we'd say about 75 miles per hour before landfall. So this is going to be very critical, folks. And if this comes in at high tide, the problem gets even worse. Now, you can guarantee, even with the upgrades that the city of Miami Beach has already made with their pumping system, getting rid of all of this water, the inundation of this type of storm at this angle is going to absolutely destroy Miami Beach, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, cities that are south, Kendall, Homestead, the Upper Keys, and the Lower Keys. This is going to be a devastating storm, folks. Hurricane Irma is going to cost billions of dollars once it tracks through the entire state of Florida. And like I said, folks, over the past 20 years, there has been a massive amount of development in this state, specifically the lower portion of the state, south of Lake Okeechobee, which is right here, the old dark spot right there. I'm going to go ahead and continue the storm track so we can take a look at this. Now I'm going to stop it right here. You can see the eye of the hurricane right here. It is directly below the peninsula. Let's check the wind speeds. 175, 183, 181, 174. As you move up here to the Miami Beach area, you're already seeing wind speeds of 105 miles an hour impacting the beach. This would also be Fort Lauderdale Beach, Hollywood Beach, West Palm Beach. They're all going to get devastated, folks. There's just absolutely no doubt about it. If I were living in the Keys, anywhere in the Keys, from Key Largo to Key West, I would be evacuating this whole entire section of Florida. It just doesn't make any sense, folks, to try and ride something like this out. You're looking at winds in the southern part of the hurricane, which are the weakest, 120, 150, close to the eye wall. Moving northward, the strongest part of the wind, 173, 182. These are very, very strong winds, folks. Very strong. Let's go ahead and move into the rest of the storm track here. Now it looks like it's bringing the eye wall up right through this area. Now, a large portion of this is the Everglades, the wetlands. So, you know, I guess that's kind of a good thing that it's making its pathway up through this direction and not up through the city of Miami and the city of Miami Beach. However, folks, the damage is already going to be done once the storm is down below here. Because as you can see right here at this particular time, the city of Miami and Miami Beach, they're going to be withstanding winds of 140 miles an hour plus. Remember, folks, these are models based on the information that they're seeing for future tracks. So I'm going to go ahead and continue playing this real quick. And you can see how this storm makes its way all the way up through the state of Florida into Georgia, affecting South Carolina, North Carolina, all the way up to Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York. And then it will be sheared off and sent towards Canada, Toronto, Montreal, then affecting the states of Maine. Yeah, folks, it's going to be a pretty nasty storm. There's just absolutely no doubt about it. It's going to cause a lot of damage, a lot of devastation. And right behind it is this little monster right here. And as that hurricane, Irma, makes its way all the way up the east coast of the United States, this storm system follows behind and then just sits there. Suspiciously, just sits there while Irma devastates the northern Caribbean, the state of Florida, and several states along the east coast. This storm, it just sits there and it just waits. Right now, we don't have any more current information on its track past the 13th of September at 11 p.m. I'm very curious to see more models come tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon where this system is going to go. Seems like it's being held in place. What's next? Another direct impact? We'll see as the information comes out. Now, folks, dealing with our space weather, we have a ton of space weather going on right now. This is the current earthquake situation right now, and it's not good. We have not even begun to enter into a very, very heavy solar wind stream. Now, about an hour ago, I clocked solar wind speeds at 2.2 million miles per hour. We've also had a major CME, coronal mass ejection, directly Earth-facing. It will be arriving within the next 24 hours, maybe 36. We'll see. The SDO Solar Dynamics Observatory, it's not working. Stereo imaging hasn't worked since August 29th. All of our space, satellite, and imaging tools that we use, they just don't seem to be working anymore. Wonder why. Ladies and gentlemen, we have several areas of earthquake activity, and did a report on this earlier, and this is the area of Soda Springs, Idaho. I don't even know how many earthquakes they've had here. And there's more. They just keep on coming in. Magnitude 4, magnitude 3.7, magnitude 3.6, magnitude 3.7, magnitude 3.4, 3.5, 3.1, 3.5. Folks, as I mentioned, I'm going to just pan down here. As you can see, here's Yellowstone. Here's your big Yellowstone caldera. Right up here. This larger, right up here. Your larger magma plume that is under Yellowstone is projected this way. Scientists have found this larger magma chamber. I did a report on it today. They've known about it for quite some time. The original one sits right under Yellowstone. The larger one is 4 times the size. They say it projects this way. Well, looky what we got going on right there. A pretty big earthquake swarm in Idaho. Interesting. Very interesting. But the earthquakes are rattling the globe as we speak. Magnitude 4.9, Colombia. 5.1, Chile. Magnitude 4, Argentina. Magnitude 4.7, west of the Chilean Rise. Magnitude 3.4, Oklahoma. Magnitude 4.1, Alaska. And you could see the swarm of earthquakes here. Moving into California. Magnitude 2.45. Magnitude 2.87. Now, these are a little bit bigger earthquakes for California. Down in Nicaragua, magnitude 4.3. And an earthquake swarm around Puerto Rico, once again. Magnitude 3.4, magnitude 3.9. Moving out, Afghanistan, magnitude 4.4. North Indian Ocean, magnitude 5.1. Fiji Islands, magnitude 4.5. But folks, it was deep, almost 500 kilometers deep. 5.3, Vanuatu Islands, and multiple earthquakes here. 5.5. Oh, we have an update. Well, it seems to be nothing new has occurred. Moving over into Europe. Fresh earthquake right here, magnitude 3.9, just occurred within the last hour. And you can see quite a bit of earthquake activity. Off the shores of Portugal, magnitude 3.3, 3.1. Another quake, southern Spain, 2.4. Portugal, 2.6. Over here, I don't know if that is in France or right on the border of France and Spain, magnitude 2.7. Northern Italy, 2.6. A multitude of earthquakes. And the poor folks along the coastal area of Mexico. Let's just take a look at this, folks. These are all of the earthquakes over the last 24 hours. As you can see, they're pretty widespread. There are so many, it's not even worth counting them. They're all within the magnitude of a 3.2 to a 4.5. Up and down the western coast of Mexico. Right along this ridge. This has been occurring for quite some time. Now, our integrated space weather, folks, let's get into this because it's important. I'm going to bring up each model one by one. Right now, what you're looking at here, you've all seen this model before, and this is showing the electrons and radiation entering into our satellite belt around our Earth. And you can see how extreme it is, and this is all up to date. These models are going from September 4th into September 5th. Current radiation levels, pretty high, excessively high. Now, on this model, folks, this is going to show you the sunspots that have been turning towards Earth. We've had a lot of activity going on under the sun, and they say that we're going into this grand solar minimum when things should actually be calming down, but they seem to be heating up, and they seem to be progressing. I haven't mentioned a lot about Planet X lately, even though I've had some evidence come in, folks. But I'm trying to get YouTube to kind of ease their constraints on me, slow down their censorship, maybe concentrate on someone else. But there is so much going on right now in the world with these hurricanes, you really have to stay on top of the information. But you can see these sunspots. This is a very, very large sunspot, 2674. But where the CME came from today, folks, it came from the smaller sunspot, which was actually more Earth-facing and below the equator. And that's just about where Earth sits. And there's the culprit right there. That's where the CME came from. So we're going to go ahead and get out of there, and we're going to take a look at the Magnetopause. Now, right now, there's not too much going on. I mean, you can see some distortion, some fluctuation, and that was earlier in the day on September 4th. I'm going to show you what's going to be occurring in the days to come. And it's going to be pretty sketchy over the course of the next week. Now, solar wind speed has been fluctuating also. This is where I picked up the solar wind speed. If you watch up here, you'll see it clock in at a little over 1,000 kilometers per second. It was about 1,025. That's equivalent to just over 2.2 million miles per hour. You're going to see these big fluctuations coming in from about 550 kilometers per second to well over 1,000 kilometers per second. And you can see by the coloration these pulses coming in from this solar wind and the coronal hole energy coming from the sun. So here is the magnetosphere. Again, we haven't seen too much going on, but we definitely have seen some anomalies, some interaction with what's happening right now. I believe probably, folks, over the next 8 to 12 hours, things are going to get a little bit worse. This is definitely going to induce more earthquake activity and higher radiation levels. There's just no doubt about it. It is on the way. And I would say within the next 24 hours, we're going to be talking about it. Possibly even before then. We're going to go ahead and take a quick look at the solar wind model. Now, I'm just going to stop this right here. Okay, this is where we're at on the 5th. Matter of fact, let's blow this up a little bit so we can see it better. Okay, folks, for all of you that are new to Planet X News, this is the Earth right here. And this is the solar wind stream that we are about to get whipped with. This is the 5th right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this model myself. Now you can see on the 6th, we're right in front of this solar wind stream. And if you look here in the yellow, it's going to be pretty intense. As we progress through September 6th into the 7th, once again, you can see we are just on the fringe of this solar wind. Moving into the 8th, there it is. Right there is going to be an intense situation. You see the red shaded area? That's going to be from the 8th of September through the 9th of September. And going all the way into the 10th, we're still in it. And we will probably be in this solar wind stream through the 10th, the 11th, and there is more energy trailing behind. So you can possibly expect to see more intensity on the 12th and the 13th, possibly even the 14th. If you just scroll up here, the plasma density, you can see from the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. On the 6th, it starts to rise, and it's a steady rise, and it peaks out on September 9th. So there is definitely a lot to watch. We're going to go ahead and bring up the SOHO coronagraph C2, and we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to step through this so you can see this coronal mass ejection as it occurred. And this was on September 4th at 1900 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and start stepping through here, and you can see the coronal mass ejection It's already happening. It's already forming. And folks, this is directly facing the Earth. I mean, this is like a headshot. So let's go ahead and progress through this. Now, as we get into September 5th, and this is all in UTC time, so it's about 4 hours ahead of me here on the East Coast. But what I want you to see is it's continuing to vent right after the CME. So that's even more energy that we'll be expecting in the days to come. So folks, not only do we have to deal with Hurricane Irma and its warpath towards the state of Florida, we also have a lot of space weather to deal with. And the space weather can be just as devastating, but covering the entire globe. Just a few hours ago, we walked right into a geomagnetic storm. Now that's going to cause big problems with internet access, radio communication, cellular communication, you name it. We have a lot going on, folks. So much information coming from so many different avenues. I mean, it's literally a 24-hour-a-day job just trying to keep up on what's happening around the globe. Volcanic activity? Can't leave the volcanoes out, folks. We're going to just step over here to volcano discovery real quick. Head down to the map for today. And as you can see, these are the symbols for all volcanoes worldwide that are in full eruption mode. And this is happening around the globe. Very interesting. And to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, you know, if it wasn't for these volcanoes in these eruption modes, I believe that we would be having much, much larger earthquakes. I mean devastating, magnitude 7 and 8. These volcanoes are alleviating and releasing some of this internal pressure. Something that we don't know about are all of the volcanoes under the oceans around the world. I believe there's over 1 million, some scientists say. They can't monitor all of them. They can't get to them. So, Lord only knows what's happening under our oceans around the world with these volcanoes. So much going on, ladies and gentlemen. Some of it explainable, some of it isn't. Truly, we are living in the sign of the times. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But what we must do, folks, we must pay attention to the warnings. We must pay attention to the information that's coming in. Whether you're receiving your information from YouTube and one of your favorite channels, or you're watching mainstream media, I would advise you to gather your information sources from everywhere. Keep yourself totally informed. Now tomorrow, hopefully we're going to be with Dr. Albers, and we're going to be doing a live stream on some of the reports that she's put together. And if you'd like to view any of her reports, you can go to her YouTube channel. There is a direct link on my main page right over on the right hand side where it says featured channels, or in the description box under any of the videos. You can definitely go link up, subscribe, and check out her reports. But as of right now, folks, it seems like the globe, the earth, it's being rocked left and right. Not only from weather, but from space weather. The intensity is there. Is it going to get worse? Probably. Probably. My last words, folks. Like I always say, knowledge is power. Gain that knowledge on what's happening. And, like I always say, don't be scared, even though these are frightening situations. Don't be scared. Be prepared. When you are unprepared, that's when one of these disasters can hit you the worst. And you don't want that to happen. And if there are warnings, weather-related warnings, anywhere where you live, you heed those warnings. Heed those warnings. The flood situations in South Florida, they're going to be pretty intense. They're clocking wave heights around this hurricane Irma exceeding 52 feet. Now, I'm not saying that those waves will be crashing into the shores of southern Florida, but they're definitely going to be a victim of the tidal surge. No doubt about it. I lived there for 22 years. I know all about it. I've been through 13 hurricanes. It's not a pleasant thing to go through. But anyway, folks, I'm going to close this live stream off. I know you guys are used to the 2-hour live streams. But I'm going to get some rest. It's going to be a pretty active day tomorrow or later on today. I can definitely tell. But folks, make sure you stay tuned. If you are not subscribed, get over there, click that subscribe button, set your notifications, keep yourself informed. That's the best you can do. Don't be scared. Be prepared. This is Scott from Planet X News and the Nibiru channel, September 5th, 2017. Thanks for watching.